me tonight, I have the great Don Keith, JRDukes, and Matthew Clifford. How you gentlemen doing?
Doing great. Thanks
Fantastic.
for having me, Dave.
Wonderful.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Yeah, great to have you. Let's get jump over to the news stories here. All right. So GOP Rep Andy Ogles files articles of impeachment against Kamala Harris, and she really deserves these based off of two reasons: the border, she was the border czar, and just her failure, the whole administration's failure to tell us what was going on with Joe Biden and his health. And we're actually going to talk about that first. We're going to start with this clip from Tucker Carlson.
This is from Charlie Kirk. I'm reading this cold. I got a weird lead on a story people ought to look into. I got a call from a source close to Las Vegas Metro Police. The official story was that Biden's trip was cut short last week due to COVID. However, according to this source, U.S. Secret Service informed Las Vegas Metro that there was an emergency situation involving Joe Biden and to close necessary streets so that POTUS could be transported immediately to University Medical, which they began to do in earnest. Then mysteriously, there was a stand-down order, and the Secret Service informed local Vegas PD that they were going to medevac POTUS to Johns Hopkins, which they presume meant fly him back east as soon as possible. Apparently, the rumor mill in the police department was that Joe Biden was dying or already dead, possibly. I didn't think too much about this lead. It seemed too wild to be true, but given that Joe Biden has been out of public sight for days and dropped out of the race via an X post, and his brother James indicated health was a factor, I'm beginning to grow more curious if COVID or something else has been more serious than reported. If anyone with Las Vegas Metro has information, please email freedom@charliekirk.com. I want to hear if there's more to the official story than what they're telling us.
Well, I'm sure Las Vegas Metro would be just as open as forthcoming as they were during the during the October shooting.
Yeah,
in
the
2017,
worst mass shooting in American history,
which is never spoken of again.
They tried to drive me out of a camera position while I was doing a story on it. Yeah. Clearly there's something
known for being open and forthcoming.
Yeah. Like the city itself. Clearly something is going on here. Obviously, I don't know what it is. I know its hallmark, which is secrecy. Secrecy is the hallmark of lying. So if you want to know, is someone lying? Well, I don't know. Is he hiding something? Well, then he's lying, right? So they're lying.
They are lying. And I think this is the opportunity. The Democrats were trying to talk Biden out of running, telling him to step down. I think Jill is an absolute bull where she didn't want Joe to step down, but then he had this medical event and the Democrats threatened to use the tape with Robert Hur, the special counsel, that shows Biden's cognitive decline. That's my theory on this coup against Biden, where they've now installed Kamala. And interestingly, her polling is it's relatively the same as Joe's against Donald Trump. So we'll see how it goes. What are your thoughts on this, Don?
You know, it's the Democrats are so diabolical. And the reason we come up with these theories about what's going on, we don't really know what's going on, is because the Democrats have lied to us so much about everything they do. So now we go down all these rabbit holes. Some of it seems so far-fetched, it ventures into conspiracy theory land. So you don't want to believe it, but at the same time, you look at the history with the Democrats and you see all the times they've lied and the things they've lied to us about. And you have to wonder, is this true? Did Biden really have a stroke? I've heard theories that he's already dead, that Kamala has already been sworn in. All these kind of things. She's already president. And they're just kind of faking it till the election because they want to pull the wool over people's eyes for some reason. It's just it's a bunch of stuff you don't know what to believe. So I don't like to go down those conspiracy theory paths until I see some solid evidence. I know Laura Loomer had a thing. She was big on the fact that he had some sort of medical emergency and he was on death's door. I saw today, pretty sure it was her that posted today as well, that he was in hospice care today. And then we see him getting out of a car and onto a plane, if that was him. Again, those thoughts go through your mind just because they lie so much about everything they do. So, yeah, who knows? It's anybody's guess with the Democrats, man.
Yeah, that's true. And as you mentioned, one thing about X, there's so much, the free speech allows to some speculation that's not always sourced well. JR, what's your thoughts on it, brother?
Well, I'm going to tell you that obviously, as a conservative commentator, I definitely am not a supporter of Joe Biden or any of these liberals, especially these woke liberals, as I like to call them. But what I am upset about is the fact that 14 million Democrats have been disenfranchised just boom, overnight, just like that. You have these deep state operatives that we keep talking about that generally had a convention of their own and they removed Joe Biden. And really, they did not necessarily remove him because he is necessarily just sick. What happened is they were lying to us all this time for years and years, and they could not keep hiding what's going on after this debate with Donald Trump. And most importantly, here's the central factor. They saw his poll number slipping and they say, that's it. He's got to go. And they did whatever they had to do to bring whatever pressure necessary to make sure they showed him the exit door. It's just that simple.
It is that simple. After that first debate, he just was horrible. What are your thoughts on it, Matthew?
So I'm going to have to concur with JR. Definitely, I think, look, if I was a Democrat, I would be pissed. Just to be frank, I'm going to shoot it from the hip here. To be a part of a party that promulgates being all about having a democracy, and then to disenfranchise all of their voters. Essentially, you look at it from a perspective of this is no longer a party. It's just a machine of oligarchs or elitists, whatever you want to say. And all of their voters are literally cogs in the machine. And once they are no longer useful, they are discarded. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so disgusting they use the word democracy when really they're just power. It's all about power.
Look how quickly all the delegates flipped too. It was so easy for them to just say, no, we don't. I know we pledged to Joe Biden, but we're not going to have any type of mini primary or flash primary. We're not going to do anything at the convention to include the voters. We're just gonna flip immediately and go for Kamala because that's what everybody wants us to do. So they have no I don't know. They just I don't know. They have no morals. They don't care about democracy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's not principles. It's power over principles. And I think this could have been possibly, along with his health, another thing that they could have blackmailed him essentially over, because these tapes look horrible for Biden. Just the fact that he can't remember simple things. And the DOJ said, oh, we lost that tape with her, where Biden had lapses in memory and where her went on to say that Biden is an elderly man who would not be fit for court. I can't remember the exact quote, but he said that there's no way a jury would convict him because he's not mentally fit to stand trial. So then how is he mentally fit to become the president? And we'll see if all Democrats stay on board with her, because I mean, she has done some things that makes the more moderate Democrat upset, like bailing out the BLM, which we'll talk about in here in a little bit. But what do you guys think? Do you think, and we'll start again with you, Don, do you think they're going to stick out with her like this is a done deal? Or do you think it's going to still be a contested primary that starts on August 20th? You think they're going to force everybody to vote, or she's got it?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to contest it now because she's already got all the delegates that she needs. So I don't think it'll be contested anymore. I kind of think she's just going to be the person they're going to go with. She's the black woman. So I keep hearing that so many, especially in the black community, they say, "Well, I'm voting for the black woman." But how can you vote? I get it. You're black. There's been very few black. Had Obama. Was the vice president. So how do you vote for somebody who put thousands of black men in jail? I mean, do you like seeing fatherless children? Because Kamala put thousands of black men in jail for smoking marijuana and then laughed about smoking it herself on the radio program with Charlemagne the God. So many things she's done that don't comport with being great for the black community. I mean, you're basically getting Biden's policy. What has Biden done for the black community? Okay, we flooded millions of illegal immigrants into your neighborhoods. Kamala was the border czar, so she's responsible for that. What happened there? Well, they took taxpayer dollars for programs, recreational facilities that the illegal immigrants took over. So all these taxpayer dollars that were supposed to be allocated for minority communities were then taken and given to illegal immigrants. So
Yeah.
I don't care what color your skin is. Why would you vote for someone who would do that for foreigners over citizens who pay taxes? It makes absolutely no sense to me. It's I don't know. It's backwards.
It's insanity. And the prisoners in California, she wanted them to stay past their sentences to provide free labor. Yeah, it's been so much insanity.
She revealed DNA evidence from one guy who was on death row. Evidence,
Wow.
yeah, it was an innocent guy, and I believe it was the governor commuted him at the last second, and then they had to come out and say, yeah, we didn't. And the labs that they had been using for some of these to convict some of these people who were guilty with the marijuana charges, these labs had been giving false positives, and they withheld that information from the courts. And all those ended up being overturned, but Kamala Harris was responsible for those things. And those are all things she's done to the Black community. So to say that I'm voting for her because she's a Black woman, okay, what has she done for the Black community? It's really a lot like Obama. What did Donald Trump did more for the Black community than any president in my lifetime, for sure, 100%.
That's true. Yeah, she's disgusting. And there's been a couple other things that I'm forgetting at the moment, but I do know that those delegates, I don't know if they've had that virtual roll call yet, so we'll see if they're going to still do that. JR, what do you think about this? Do you think she's got it locked down, or it's going to be open?
Well, let me say this to begin with. The part about this democracy, and they've been hammering Trump as basically an enemy of democracy. The democracy is over if he takes office, and it's just so rich. It's just very rich that now you have effectively the Democrats are really the party that's against democracy because of what's going on with Kamala Harris. And as far as Joe Biden in front of that her report guy or the special prosecutor, Clearly, this tape would show, I believe his words were something to the effect of a well-meaning elderly gentleman. There's no way a jury would find him guilty as some elderly figure that means well but can't remember nothing. And to answer your question directly, I think she's going to get away with exactly what's going on. And what's going to happen, I got a word for you. It's going to be race. From now to the election, anybody challenges her, anybody says anything, it's going to be race or that she's a female. And I mean, they're just going to beat us over the head with that race card. And listen, the reality is, folks, when you look like me and someone screams out the word race, most people shut up. I mean, they just kind of go into a hole. They don't want to talk. They don't want to be accused of being a racist, so they just kind of cower down. Me, I'm different than that. I'll have a discussion about it because I won't let anybody away with that. I mean, if they got facts, then present them. But I'm just telling you how this is going to play out. And you guys are absolutely correct about the crime bill and all the people that really Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have put in prison. It was Joe Biden that passed that 1995 crime bill. And that's the reason why you have so many people in jail, at least in part, was the reforms, the so-called reforms they did with that terrible, nasty crime bill that they have there. And this is just the way it's going to be from here till election day, and it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you that there are going to be a lot of racism, sexism discussion from the corporate media. Thankfully, some of the companies in the top 100 are pretty rapidly getting rid of their diversity departments entirely. So I think we're starting to move past that, but you're absolutely right. The rhetoric's going to be there for the rest of this cycle. Matthew, you think she's got it locked down, or do you think there's going to be some surprise at the convention?
Well, I mean, she's secured $85 million right now in funding, the last I checked, and she's already obviously got over how many delegates now voted for her?
She's got the numbers she needs. Last I heard today, she's got all the ones she needs.
Look, she's a product of failing upward. Let's be honest. Everything that she has done has been completely a scam, and she has literally failed upward nonstop. She is the epitome of what a DEI hire would look like in a perfect utopian world that the Democrats like to promulgate constantly. But here's the thing: her polling is horrible, and if you look at her popularity and compare her to someone like Hillary Clinton, for example, I just say let history repeat itself. I think right now we're doing good. We're in a good place. Yes, it's unfortunate that we spent a lot of money campaigning for going against Joe Biden, and now we have to switch things up. But honestly, I'll just sit back and watch history repeat itself, because she is just as terrible, if not worse, than Hillary Clinton was. And we saw how that worked out the last time Trump went off against her.
Well, what I
Yeah,
want to
that's
know is,
true.
how are they going to get around these states where it's already too late for her to be on the ballot as president? You know, the only way she could that could happen is if Joe Biden dies. The only way she'll be able to get to be on those ballots.
That's a great point. Yeah. So the America First Legal is suing. The Heritage Foundation is suing. But before I forget, I do want to Matthew's point, she absolutely does not have the character, the it factor that Donald Trump has. And that's such a huge thing. I've always learned in electoral politics, just based off of records of how, if people win or not, is do you have charisma? One, and are your policies good? And if you're great at one of those or good at both, you're probably going to win. But if you're horrible at both, like this, you're probably just not going to make it.
You know what also excites me? What among the
Oh my
many
God,
things,
boy.
I'm excited about electric school buses. I love electric school buses. I just love them for so many reasons. Maybe because I went to school on a school bus. Hey, raise your hand if you went to school on a school bus.
I don't know if she's like has some brain thing herself or not, but she's also kind of crazy.
Did you
She's
see
annoying.
the way where she was getting on the bus and she was singing the song "The Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round"? Did you see that?
I'm not surprised. I didn't see that one, but there's a few senators that have not endorsed her yet. And the biggest thing, in my opinion, is independence. She's going to be way too liberal for independence when some of her agenda that when she was in California is exposed, her raising funds for the Summer of Love BLM rioters. So
what about the guy she raised money to bail out and then he killed somebody 2 weeks later?
Yeah, there you go. That is another a huge point of that. Yeah, this vulnerable. Yeah, John Tester, he's one Democrat. There was one. Oh yeah, here's an interesting thing. I want to get y'all's thoughts on this as well. So Team Trump is filing a FEC complaint over Biden transferring the funds to Harris. I should have taken a little more time to look in the law on this, but so far, I mean, in history, let's just read this quote here. It says, Kamala Harris is seeking to perpetrate a $91.5 million heist of Joe Biden's leftover campaign cash, a brazen money grab that would constitute the single largest excessive contribution and biggest violation in the Federal Election Campaign Act of 1971. As amended, David Warrington wrote in the FEC campaign. Although Biden's heir apparent, Harris is not yet the nominee. The Trump campaign and said until she's a nominee, contributions made to Biden should not be rolled over to the vice president. You think the FEC is going to agree with that, or they're going to cave and give her 91 million? We'll start again with same order. You done?
Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't agree. I mean, the law's the law, right? The people, when they donate money, they're donating to Joe Biden. Just because she's on the ticket doesn't mean she gets to take all the money that was donated for Joe Biden being at the top of the ticket, right? So yeah, I think they're probably going to win out on that, at least until she gets the official nomination. To me, even if she gets the official nomination, people were donating that money for Joe Biden, not Kamala Harris, for President Joe Biden. So, and a lot of people were saying early on that because she was on the ticket, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. Well, it's not. That's not how the law reads. So yeah, I think they're going to win on that, at least until they get to the convention.
Yeah. What's beautiful about that is this decision that just got destroyed, or rather I'm trying to remember the name of the president, the Chevron doctrine that got destroyed by the U.S. Supreme Court. Now the FEC, because I'm not sure how many Democrat appointees versus Republican appointees, which is sad that I've got to consider that. It should be based off the rule of law, as you suggested, but they can't interpret vague policy now, so they're going to have to look exactly as to what the 1971 Act says about donations, and they're not going to be able to make up some kind of weird rule being bureaucrats. So that's a great thing. What are your thoughts, JR? You think they're going to not let her have this money, or she's going to get it?
Well, I think it's just like Don said. If the law states that they're not entitled to it, then I think they have some serious problems. But this is so timely with what I've been talking about all day. Matter of fact, my video today was on this very subject, and it's been what I've been talking about, and that is, I believe to cure this problem, along with the other problems, you're going to have President Joe Biden resign and transfer power to Kamala Harris. We're going to have President Kamala Harris. That's what I'm hereby predicting, because if they do that, all these legal problems go away, because she is the president. She would then be the head of the ticket. And I'm certain that all these money troubles and these other issues that they're looking at are simply going to go away. That's basically one of the two main reasons that they're going to do that, for the legal issues. And of course, so that they can give her some experience and she can say, oh no, I'm an active serving president. She's going to also try to differentiate herself between her and Joe Biden. For example, I'm telling you right now, when she takes over, she's going to seal that border. I mean, she's going to put the military down there. You ain't going to be able to get a quarter through there. And then she's going to say, see, I sealed the border. Now, it's kind of a joke with her being the border czar, but I have no doubt she's going to move quickly to distinguish herself from Joe Biden. And I think that's their best play. It's kind of like just wipes the slate with one swing.
Oh, yeah. Well, so how long do you think it'll be before Biden resigns? What's your prediction for when she'll become the president?
That I don't know, but unlike some of these doomsday individuals that say, "Oh, it's the year 2040," I think it might be tomorrow. I think it might be tomorrow. He already said, "I'm going to give a national speech," and if you read what he said, it was a little cryptic. Now, if you're thinking like I'm thinking, it's cryptic. If it's, if you're not thinking about it, it's just a statement. But at the end, he uses words, language to the effect, something like, "I'm going to discuss how I'm going to complete the end of my term," or something weird. It just struck me as weird. That's all I'm telling you. And again, I'm not a big conspiracy guy at all, but let's be honest about it. We've had some weird stuff going on recently.
Yeah, I mean, this has been unprecedented news day after day after day, things that just haven't happened in U.S. history or have rarely happened in U.S. history. Matthew, you think the FEC is going to follow the law, or they're going to try to give Kamala the money early? And do you also think that Biden will resign before the end of his term?
Well, they're not going to invoke the 25th Amendment. We already know this. Honestly, look, I'm going to be blunt about it. And again, I'm going to shoot from the hip. We've gone full retard at this point in time. So there is honestly, it's up in the air. I have no idea what's going to happen next. I mean, we have so much corruption right now from the top down. Anything is possible. I do agree with JR's sentiment on most of what he said, but I can't sit here and justifiably say one way or the other that, it's going to go this way or it's going to go that way, because honestly, you just don't know nowadays.
You don't. And I was very confident, probably too much hubris, when I was telling people that Biden is not going to listen to Nancy Pelosi. Biden is not going to listen to Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama. He is not going to step down. But I was wrong about that. I still think that they blackmailed him, or they did it while he was suffering this alleged medical emergency. I don't have proof of that, but I just think that Jill had that major incentive. She was just on the front of Vogue magazine, and she loves going to the swanky parties. And Hunter's been a advisor to Joe after he's been a convicted felon. So he wants his legal stuff to be pushed down the road by Joe being president. But we have, interestingly, let's get this story.
I wonder what the Vegas odds are on Joe pardoning Hunter.
That would be wow. We should check Polymarket for that.
I guarantee he does. Guarantee he does.
I bet he does.
He wouldn't. He said he wouldn't. He's already said he wouldn't, but I guarantee he does.
What else did he say he wouldn't do? that he's done.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, I think if if we think about it and we're honest with each other about it, if we were in that situation, I don't think any of us would not pardon our own children. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't particularly like the guy, but I would not fault him if he did that. Now, it clearly shows that there is, again, another example of two tiers of justice. But I know if my son is facing prison in this type of situation, I'm going to forgive him. It's just that simple.
Yeah, I don't really necessarily have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is him telling the American people that he's not going to and then doing it. So if you're going to do it, just tell us you're going to do it. Don't lie and then do it. You know what I mean?
I think that's a fair, yeah, I think that's a fair point. But the reality is, if you look at throughout history of all the presidents that have given pardons, in my mind, I'm thinking of Bill Clinton. I don't know if y'all remember back to that or not, but it was, I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He was like, "Oh no, I'm not going to pardon him. I'm not going to pardon him." And then, of course, right after the election or whatever, he issues some pardons. I can't remember the guys. Oh, McDougal and some other individuals, I think. James McDougal and some other individuals. Oh, no, I'm not going to pardon him. I'm not going to pardon him. So, I mean, there is a history of it. But listen, Don, your point's well taken. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. You should say what you mean and do what you say, that type of thing. But we all know how that works in politics.
That's right. That's right.
We know how that works. That's right. Yeah. So the BLM, I don't know if this is the national chapter or one of their state chapters. They've urged the Democratic National Committee to promptly organize an impromptu virtual party or primary nationwide before the August DNC. Let's see, this is, I think this gentleman is he was a colonel, Douglas McGregor. He said this call came shortly after VP Harris clinched sufficient delegates for the nomination. BLM emphasized in their statement the importance of public involvement. What's going to be wild is there's going to be less than 2,000 police officers, Chicago PD, and there's going to be 5 or 6 groups at this convention, and some of them are pro-Palestine, some are pro-Israel. It's going to get insane, and I'm just wondering if there was someone that challenged her, how crazy that would get, because I don't think that's happened since the 1950s. So I'm not sure if that'll happen or not, but clearly there's some voters that are not going to be happy.
Well, if you think about it, a lot of those Black Lives Matter folks are extreme Marxists, and they are familiar with Kamala's records. So while you have a lot of Black folks saying, I'm voting for Kamala because she's a Black woman, you have folks who are more politically minded who want that process because they know about Kamala's record with incarcerating all the Black men and all of these things. Plus, a lot of Black folks don't really see Kamala as Black. She's Indian and Caribbean. She's not, that people say African American. Her parents were, I think her mother was Indian and her father's Caribbean. So, and then there's the question of whether or not she's even legally eligible to be president of the United States because of that. A lot of folks are saying she's not. So,
yeah. Well, let me ask you this: since we're going on this topic, do you think she will win the majority of independents? Because that's going to be who decides the election. Okay, so you think no?
No way.
You think she does not have the electability? This article here says allies urge Trump to minimize DEI attacks, focus on Harris' terrible record, which I think is smart because Trump has all of the influencers and the content creators like us to talk about it. She really is a DEI hire. She has failed upward, as you said, Matthew. She always has. So
Trump was already winning with independents before Joe stepped down. So I cannot. And a lot of that was because of his horrible policies with inflation, price of groceries skyrocketing, doubled our gas prices, and all of these things. So the independents had all the polling indicated that the independents were with Trump. So I can't see them leaving Trump just because they switched genders and skin colors for the vice president, because she's the same policies. She's going to have the same policies as Biden. So independent voters are pretty smart voters, and they usually vote policy more than the person, whereas Democrats and Republicans, they vote a lot on personality, the ones who don't really get into politics. But independent voters are pretty well thought out. So I don't think they're going to jump ship and go back to Kamala. because he's, they've already gone with Trump now.
Do y'all know how
Yeah.
she started in politics? How she got her start? Are y'all
Yeah, she
familiar
was
with her
sleeping with the
history?
guy.
Yeah,
Willie
yeah. Her
Brown.
boyfriend, Willie Brown. Yeah, she was like 29. He's like 60. And, I don't normally like to get in the weeds on this type of thing, but I'm just saying what the reality is. That's how she started. She was appointed to like city council or some position or whatever. And it just kind of went from there. Then I think she won attorney general, something along them lines. And she just kind of climbed up the tree, and we'll just keep it
So
PG
was
and let it
she?
go like that. So
Yeah. So
She
will
climbed
she
up
get
something.
all of? I'll ask you, JR, and then go to you, Matthew. JR, do you think she's going to get the majority of independents or close to it?
I don't think so. I do
Okay.
think the race is going to be close, but I think it's going to be an electoral college blowout. That I do believe. I don't think that listen, no one likes her. When she ran for president to begin with, I don't even think she made it to Iowa. I mean, she was out before it even started getting warm. I mean, she didn't last long at all. Nobody liked her. She just has this personality that she just doesn't have that charisma.
Horrible.
Is what it boils down
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about her, but that's the reality of her personality. And let's be honest about it. If you don't have that certain it factor, that charisma, and I'm talking like Reagan, even Clinton, in my opinion, has it.
Yeah. He
Reagan,
absolutely
Clinton,
did.
obviously Trump. I mean, let's be straight up about it. I mean, yeah, like him or
Barack
not,
Obama.
this guy's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, Barack Obama had it too. Yeah, I agree with all that.
Yeah. Okay. So your assessment is no, he's not going to win the majority, or she's not going to win the majority of independents. Matthew, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, she doesn't have the riz. Look, like JR said, there's no charisma. She's annoying. Her voice is annoying. Her laugh is annoying. Everything about her is annoying. And look, let's be real. Everyone who has paid attention over the last few years, if they saw a Tulsi Gabbard debate with her, they should automatically know what a failure she has been her entire career. And that's all you need to see. Like, literally, you could just post that debate between her and Tulsi Gabbard over and over and over again, and that is like literally the perfect anti-campaign for her.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. That's I'm going to bring over this polling data here. It looks like this is a D+6 survey. So this poll, oh, you know what? I don't have it pulled up. We're going to bring it up right now. This polling data was based off a population that leans Democrat, +6. So even with that, Donald Trump is leading +1 and 14 among independents. So I agree with all of you. I think that there is, and this is the strategy that the Democrats have used, and unfortunately, the biblical principle is true. You do reap what you sow. It's just a matter of time. They formed these incompatible coalitions. They have the LGBTQ community. They have like Muslims in the same group. Like, they have fundamentally different ideas that cannot coexist. And there's these somewhat more moderate Democrats. And then there are Marxists who literally want to destroy capitalism and have everybody live on a commune, thinking that it won't kill another 100 million people like it did in the 21st or the 20th century. So yeah, I agree with you all, just based off of how far left she has gone.
I think
And
she's
if
going
we,
to have a lot of problems with black men, to be honest with you.
yeah, you think Trump's going to keep that 20%?
I
He
think
had
so.
6% in 2020. Now he's up to 20%. Do y'all all think that he's going to keep that, or what?
Yeah, I do. Look, the only
Okay.
way that Kamala's not going to win. Look, I'm just going to call it now. And if I'm wrong about it, then I'm wrong about it in the future. But the only person that would fill a role that she could potentially fill and beat Trump is Michelle Obama. And we all know she's not interested. It's not happening unless something radically changes over the next month or two. She's not going to win.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think
that's a
after
great
that
point.
assassination attempt, sorry, Dave, didn't mean to step on you there. I think after the assassination attempt, I really think that has bought Donald Trump a lot of votes. A lot of people seeing a different side of him. that they frankly have not seen in a politician. I mean, you got people like Zuckerberg and other individuals coming forward that that's the most amazing shot picture I've ever seen in my entire life. I just think that has gained him a lot of love, to be perfectly blunt about it. I have seen multiple videos on X today alone of Generation X individuals, and they're like, you know what, I'm taking a second look at this guy. I was told he's a racist. I was told he's this, he's that, and I just don't see that. One of the better lines I've seen Donald Trump say recently when they were confronting him about something to do with, oh, I'm against democracy or he's against democracy. He's like, hey, I took a bullet for democracy. I think that's just key.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Just beautiful.
That's what I said. That's what I've been reiterating over and over and over again. Trump's election was won by a bullet or three.
That's possible. You know, I'm just thinking here when we were just talking about, you know, you're talking about the Black Lives Matter coming out and saying they wanted the people to participate at the convention. You know, not just hand the keys to the kingdom over to her. That may be strategic in that they come out with this faction of the Democrats, right? To pressure. No, we need the people involved. They kind of pretend that like they're going to ignore them. Just to see how she does in the polls up until the convention. And if she tanks and crashes and burns in the convention, there may be so much pressure on this side that they have orchestrated themselves just for that purpose, that they say, no, we've got to do it this way. We can't just hand her the keys because the people really want to participate now. You see what I'm saying?
That's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point, Don. That is along the lines of Vivek Ramaswamy's thinking. He believes that they're going to wait as long as possible to make it official, to give the honeymoon phase to whoever needs it if she falls. And yeah, it's a great hypothesis. I want to see if you guys, maybe you've seen this, maybe you haven't. This gentleman, he claims he is himself a prophet. This was posted in March, and this is amazing to me.
Like on a mantle of telling people in these old churches, like trying to reform America again, bringing back America. Because the Lord told me, he said, I am not done with America. Amen. He said, there's going to be a new wave of patriotism coming out. And that's whenever I saw Trump, and I saw a red wave coming out of Michigan. And then I saw Oklahoma, and there was embers of people, and they were all on they had torches all throughout Oklahoma, and they were raising up these torches that looked like fire, and they were bringing forth a new patriotism upon the nation. And it was being birthed, and it just kept spreading like fire all throughout America, all throughout. And I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus.
Wow, that just blows my mind that this was posted in March of this year, and this guy was this specific. I believe is true. You know, I think, you know, Trump, a lot of great Christians have struggled with things, and he's had lust issues in the past, but I think about King David in the Bible. But I really do believe that this might have changed Trump in a lot of ways after hearing him speak at the RNC. And given that, I mean, how beautiful would that be? This populist revival returning back to where because when you said, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, you had mentioned this, I think it was you, JR, that he even was proud of Trump. You know, it's that American spirit that we've missed, that this Marxist demonic hold over America has just made everybody depressed. We've wondered since COVID where the country is, where is everybody? We're kind of absent, foggy minded, but when you see that fighting, like John Wayne kind of never give up the founding fathers spirit, people are attracted to that. Do y'all think
the greatest political moment in my entire life was when Trump got up from that shot and started pumping that fist and going, fight, fight, fight? I mean, chills. I mean, if you didn't get chills from watching that, I mean, it was the most unbelievable thing. I think that's one.
Were you guys watching that live? Did you guys watch that speech live or after the fact? I was just curious.
Yeah,
I saw it right after.
Well, I got a phone call. I was outside working. I got a phone call, said, you got to go out. You got to go to the something happened. I'm just listening to the radio. I've lost signal. I don't know what happened. So I turn on the radio, and all the people going, he was at this point, he was down. He was down, and people were over him. And I'm going, oh my God, they've shot him. I said, they've taken him out. And he sits there, and he's down on the floor, and I can't see what's going on. I'm thinking I think he's been killed.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he stands
No,
up.
he's just asking for his shoes.
And I'm like, I don't know if they're holding him up, if he's been shot or what. And then he just starts pumping, and I'm like, that's my God. I'm like going crazy. Like,
Exactly.
you know,
David, if you'd allow me
yeah.
for just a second, I wanted to tell you guys, just share this briefly with you.
Yeah.
I was watching it live when it happened, and I want to encourage everybody, go back and watch that video again. But this time, I want you to see it the way I saw it, because I was watching it on, I believe it was Right Side Broadcasting or something like that on YouTube. And I was watching it live. I was sitting on the couch with my dog, just sitting there chilling. And, you know, you hear Trump going through his normal thing. He was showing these charts and stuff like this. And, you know, when something like this happens, you know how time stands still. And that's exactly what it felt like. When I heard that, it's just like every other time. Oh, I thought it was firecrackers. Well, I knew what it was. And when I seen him grab his ear and he went down, I'm going to tell you, it felt like eternity. And I thought in my mind,
Really
I'm
did.
like, Lord, no, this can't be happening. You know, please, Jesus, this can't be what is happening. I said, I was thinking to myself, they sued him. They've tried embarrassing him, taken his money, hammered his kids, tried to incarcerate the man. They've taken his mugshot. I mean, they've done everything they possibly can. They've taken him off the ballot in different states, and none of that works. So they're going to kill him. And I just thought I just couldn't believe it. And then when he got back up and the Secret Service agents rushed him and they were taking him off, you have to remember, at this time, we did not know there was allegedly one 20-year-old kid that's been shot dead. We didn't know if somebody there, I mean, I didn't know if somebody was going to be there blowing up, or someone else had another gun with them, or whatever's going on. And he stopped because he wants to look good before he leaves. And then I kind of know what he was thinking. He was thinking, I'm not going to be like JFK or any of these other presidents that's been assassinated. America's last vision of me is not going to be. It's not going to be that I've been defeated. It's not going to be anything of weakness. And what did he do? This man had the presence of mind to hold up his fist and fight. And I mean, I'm just telling you, I have a total different appreciation and context on this, because we didn't know any of this and he didn't know any of this. And your head is very vascular. So when he got hit in the ear, he didn't know if the side of his head was blown off or what was going on with him. He didn't know my ear is the only thing that's been hit. I mean, he just really didn't know that, but he knew he was still conscious, and he wanted the message to be sent out to carry on. And I just think to myself, wow. And I appreciate letting me share that, because I'm telling you, every time I think about it, it gets me.
You know, when he was on the bottom of that dog pile after the Secret Service jumped on him, he was arguing with his Secret Service because they wanted to carry him out on a stretcher. And he's like, no, I'm not going out on a stretcher. He said, I'm fine. He said, and because he could tell, he said, I'm not. They were thinking he might be hitting his body and didn't know. He said, no, I'm fine. But they wanted to carry him. He was interviewed last night with JD Vance on something. I can't remember. Maybe that was the night before, but he told that story, how he was in an argument with the Secret Service while he was on the bottom of that pile. They wanted to carry him out in a stretcher, and he wouldn't let them. So, I mean, that's just ballsy, man.
He wanted to get his shoes. That's literally what he was saying. He was like, let me put my shoes on. Look, what happened was, what happened, the image that was portrayed after he raised his fist and said, fight, shows the type of temperament that he has, first and foremost, but it instilled confidence. And anyone that was questioning his cognitive capabilities, anyone that potentially was questioning his motive for the country, look, any Joe Blow out there that has a lick of common sense could have saw what he did and said, fight or flight, that guy fights, and he's willing to fight for us. He's a multi-millionaire, billionaire, I don't know, I think multi-millionaire.
Billionaire.
He could be on a beach. He could be playing golf every single day. He could be doing whatever he wants to do. But the fact that he took a bullet for this country, he's willing to die. It just instilled confidence. And everyone that potentially was doubting him, I don't think they doubt him anymore, unless they're completely of the liberal hive mind, I don't think there's a shadow of doubt anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment, Matthew. And it is that persistence that he learned as a businessman, failing over and over and over. You know, liberals are insane when they talk about Trump's business failures, all of the most successful people on earth. I mean, for goodness sake, Elon Musk, he couldn't afford a good rocket scientist, astrophysicist. He had to become one himself because he couldn't afford it. He said he almost failed so many times. And to talk about the someone had mentioned JD Vance. I just wanted everybody to know really quickly, when Trump made this pick about JD Vance, I wasn't sure how Vance had voted recently. So I was worried, and I'd looked this up, that the Heritage has a scorecard, and Vance's record is a 93. He is the 5th most conservative senator in the U.S. Senate. The average Senate Republican gets 61%. So, I mean, there's been some allegations that he might be a deep state guy. I think RFK Jr. said that. But this guy has the voting record of someone who is ultra MAGA, and he kind of does make Trump assassination proof if you're to assume he can't be bought out. And I don't think he can be so far. I think the only issue he might have with Trump at their personalities, he is a policy wonk, super educated Yale, and Trump likes to be the biggest guy in the room. So we'll see. But then again, Vance might know when to be quiet. But what do you guys think about Vance?
He's growing on me. He wasn't my favorite just because of all the past comments he made about Trump and stuff. I guess I still harbored some ill will about that.
Sure.
I'm reserving
That's
my
fair.
pick. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's growing on me. I like some of his things and his policies, but we'll see.
I don't know much about him myself, to be perfectly honest with you, if I'm, just putting it out there. However, I'm willing to give him a chance and see exactly what he's able to do or not do. I will tell you, in my opinion, I would have chose Marco Rubio. That's just my opinion, but I trust Trump's judgment. I think he will win either way, but that's just the way I would have played it. Again, I don't know much about the man, but he seems like he's a solid family man. We'll just have to give him benefit of the doubt, see where it goes.
Okay, so if Trump had not been shot, if there was no attempt to assassinate him, I don't think he would have picked JD Vance personally. A lot of people are harboring over the fact that JD Vance talked smack about Trump, compared him to Hitler. Look, people change. At the end of the day, people grow, they change. He's converted to Catholicism. I think over the last couple of years, he converted to Catholicism. He's growing as a person. He's changing. You look at like any person in politics, they're not the same as they were when they first got in as they are today. Okay, that's just the way it is. And I think at the end of the day, JD Vance is probably one of the most capable politicians to carry the torch for Donald Trump. Was he my personal favorite? No, I didn't want him initially. But I think after the assassination attempt, I think that really put him on the platform to be picked because he is the best bet to carry that torch. Now, you could debate that all day long. You could say it was Vivek or whoever you want to say, but at this time, this point in time, I think he's our best bet, and I think Trump knows what he's doing. I'm going to trust that he didn't falter and pick another Mike Pence, because JD Vance, based on his voting record alone, way far off from a Mike Pence.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Trump has learned that you can't trust the recommendations from inside the DC Beltway. And if you do, you're going to end up with people that are going to stop you from your administration from accomplishing things. But I also understand your perspective, Don, of waiting to see. In 2016, I wanted Ted Cruz to win. I didn't have anything.
That was a Cruz guy.
Yeah. I didn't have anything against Trump. I just knew about Cruz being super conservative. But let's talk about real
They
quick.
hated Cruz in Congress, and to me, everyone in Congress, the Republicans and Democrats all hated Ted Cruz.
That's
and to
true.
me, anybody they hate must be a good guy, just like Trump. Anybody they all hate must be a good guy.
That's a good judgment criteria. Yeah. So Rep. Andy Ogle said, no, the American people are and should be afraid of Kamala Harris. As the borders are, she has allowed hundreds of thousands of deaths from drug overdoses, the rape of thousands of innocent women and children, and murder in the street.
That's
so will this make any impact? Do you think they'll be able to make a media storm about this that will, again, change the minds of independents, or is this just going to be another nothing burger? And will Speaker Johnson even, because they go in recess in, I don't know what part of August, but at some point in August, by mid-August, they'll be in recess until September 9th. So will this have any impact on the narrative, or will this just be a nothing burger?
As far as her stance on immigration, you mean?
In terms of the independents and how they sway towards her or against her, Kamala Harris, independent voters.
Yeah, I think I just refer to my answer earlier is the independents are not going to go with Kamala. Immigration's a big deal, and the way they've just neglected that border completely, and she was in charge of it. It was her baby, right? She did absolutely nothing.
But impeaching her, though, you think this will add to that negative image, or you think it'll do nothing?
Go ahead.
Not successfully impeaching her, but they're going to have the vote. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's a waste of taxpayer dollars if you want to think about it. Yeah, sure, impeach her. I would like for to have that negative vision, but it's a waste of taxpayer dollars in my opinion.
Okay. JR, you feel the same?
Well, I feel that this border czar thing, I think this is going to be one of her biggest problems, to be perfectly blunt about it. This border czar situation, the videos they have of her saying, oh, well, I've never been to Europe either, when questioning her about being the border czar and only been to the border one time. I think this is all going to come back and bite her real hard. And if I'm being honest with you about the impeachment stuff, just being perfectly honest with you about it, I mean, it's warranted in this situation. There's no doubt about that. Having said that, I think this impeachment situation with everything has gotten out of control. It's not what the founding fathers originally intended. Alan Dershowitz calls this the age of impeachment, and it started basically back with Bill Clinton. It was not intended by the founding fathers that you were to be impeached because of sex or because that you lied on something. I'm just telling you, it was. If you go back and read the Federalist Papers and other documents like that, it's clear that was not their intention. At the same time, they wanted to put provisions in there to have a president or individual removed if it was indeed a high crime and or misdemeanor. And it just my humble opinion. I don't think it was ever meant for a president or any member of the cabinet, for that matter, or the people that orbit the president to be essentially kind of like what they do in England. You get a no confidence vote and you're gone. Makes me uncomfortable, but just my opinion.
Sure. Matthew?
I don't think it matters either way, really. I mean, just to be frank about it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, she is going to either be the nominee or not. Impeachment or not, on the records, on the books, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I think America is already they already kind of have this mindset as to they know what they want, they know what they're getting into, and that's that. And an impeachment or no impeachment, it's not going to sway the individuals that are going to vote D at the end of the day or vote R at the end of the day. For independents, and this is specific to independents, I honestly don't think it's going to impact them. And I'll reference what Don said prior, is independents are of the mindset where they like to have nuance. They like things being articulated. They like to do the research themselves in many instances. And I think that once they make up their minds about something, and I think they're well informed enough to do so, they're not going to be swayed by something like an impeachment. Because look, at this point in time, impeachment is just like using the word racist. I mean, it's just thrown out there all the time. So at some point in time, it starts to lose its weight. And I think that's where we're at now.
Yeah, it has been overused, and it was overused with Trump, and something that Andrew Tate said. I know he's controversial. There's a lot of people love him, a lot of people would hate him, but something I thought really intelligent he said, and he said this about himself and Trump. He said, if you're going against the Matrix, you have 3 lives. Your first life is they try to silence you. They literally took the sitting president, banned him from Facebook and other social media. Your second life is they try to imprison you. 74 felonies. The Supreme Court crushed that. Your third life, they try to kill you. So it is something to be said about, impeachment. They've used that in part of that process of trying to destroy him. But as you said, JR, I think it is at this point warranted, because Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution says the United States shall guarantee every state in the Union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. And I would classify this as an invasion. And even if it doesn't work, I'm kind of thankful that they are doing it, because, and when I say work, I mean shift public opinion. I don't think she's going to be convicted and removed. But with that, we will head over to a couple polls. And so far, this is a newer poll. Let's see, what date was this? That's 19 through 21. I haven't heard of Main Street USA poll, so I'm going to skip that one. He's got quite a bit here. This is what Polymarket has right now. They have a 65% chance for Trump winning, 31% for Kamala Harris. And Pennsylvania, all the swing states is trending Trump on Polymarket, the website where people vote. Excuse my phone. I thought I had muted it. So we will see how that goes. Polymarket had a bet was going on whether or not Biden or a head of lettuce would make it longer. Biden before he dropped out of the race, or the head of lettuce before it would expire. And whoever bet on the lettuce won probably quite a bit of money. Go ahead.
That when going back to what I had said earlier, this gives them, the Democrats, 2 more chances. It's really 3 in all total. The Democrats had. They had a chance with Biden, polled terribly. It got down to the wire. Nope, we got to switch to Kamala. So they're going to go up until the convention for these next 3 or 4 weeks and see how she does. And if that doesn't, and she's still polling terribly like she is now, they'll have a third chance to flip. That's how diabolical these people are. This is how they cheat. Everything they do, they cheat to win. So this is what they're going to do, I think. So maybe she's not the candidate. We'll see. I think it's going to depend on the polling.
Yeah. I think of Michelle Obama. I think they'd have to blackmail her too. Almost. She said 20 different times, released public statements that she hates the idea of running for president. She is more of an introvert that doesn't thrive around that kind of environment, and she wants privacy. But let's hop back over to, this is a NPR Morris poll that was ran yesterday. And among independent voters, 46% Trump, 32% Harris, 21% undecided. And as if the election was now, it looks like even if you have RFK Jr., I don't know how many states he's going to get on the ballot in, but he'd get 19%.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if they do something crazy like select RFK to get that 10 to 12% of the polls he got for vice president. Don't be surprised if they try to pick him for VP and pull that 10 to 12% in.
That's a great point.
He's got 10 to 12% of the market. Why? It'd be just like the Democrats to do something so diabolical as to pull him in.
That would be interesting. As a matter of fact, Trump made an effort to get him into the RNC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had also discussed with RFK Jr. He said, if you back me, I'll let you in my administration in a role that has to do with reducing the very, very high number of vaccines that are administered.
Yeah, make them Surgeon General. No, I'm
yeah,
joking,
something
I'm
like
joking.
that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I'm sure that's what he would want, but yeah.
Well,
I think it's gonna be-
RFK's a Democrat. Let's not kid ourselves.
Well, so is Donald Trump technically.
Well,
he's like a 2003 liberal.
But RFK still is, really. The only reason he's not is because they wouldn't let him run. They changed all the rules so that he couldn't run as a Democrat. See,
I would disagree with you. I didn't mean to overstep on you, Don. Sorry. I would disagree with you guys slightly on the Democrat thing. I don't think the Democrats today are Democrats. They are not the JFK Democrats. They're not even the Bill Clinton Democrats. I mean, Bill Clinton looks like a conservative of the highest degree compared to the current Democratic Party. The current Democratic Party is a Marxist party. I really don't see how anybody cannot say that's not the case.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think look, JFK by today's standards, all available metrics, would be a far right conservative. That's just the way. That's the way the parties have shifted over the years. Look, even Trump, you can say he's MAGA all you want, but he's not truly like the real MAGA movement. In my personal opinion, started with Ross Perot. He was a MAGA Republican. Like that is the kind of guy based on the voting, the policies, everything. He was make America great, far right conservative by every available metric today, and that just goes to show you where we're unfortunately moving with our party lines over the last, not even 30 to 20 years, but just within the last decade. And it's highly concerning. But honestly, I think with Kamala, I think Josh Shapiro personally, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Trump definitely has Democrat socially, or has some liberal tendencies socially, but fiscally, I think he's a pretty diehard conservative.
Yeah, and he had a friend who was going to get an abortion. They didn't. The child ended up being like super successful, and that changed his mind on that. But I don't want to keep you guys too long. I want to get your predictions here. Let's go back to this. Let me bring back up the data. So I'll make my prediction and then ask you guys each of yours. And then you can let everybody know where to find you on social media. My prediction is that Donald Trump will win the popular vote by 0.5%, 0.5%, and that he will have approximately 350 electoral college votes. That could be optimistic. We'll see. Don, what is your prediction for popular, electoral, and where can people find you at on social media?
Oh, let's see. Predictions here. I haven't even thought about the total tally. 350 seems pretty steep. I mean, that's that's fair. You can disagree. Pretty steep. That's pretty steep. But I'm thinking like 326. That's the number I've got in my mind.
Okay.
And then popular vote. Popular vote's going to be close, man. It's gonna be somewhere in that range, 1 to 2 points, I think. So, and then what was your other question? No, you want me to tell people where
can they find you on social media? Yeah,
on X at Real Don Keith, on Instagram at Real Don Keith, on TikTok Don.Keith, on Facebook The Real Beef Don Keith. I think that's it. I think that's all my socials, man.
Awesome. JR, what's your thoughts? Popular and electoral.
Well, what I'm going to say is the difference is probably going to be, I'm going to be pretty optimistic at 4%, only because it's Kamala Harris. Now, if she actually becomes president, it might be a little more tight than that. And then as far as electoral college, I do agree that it's going to be a landslide. There's no question about that. Definitely in excess of 300. I'll go ahead and go on record and say right about 320, if not higher. I mean, it's really hard for me to see how she's going to do well almost anywhere. Trump is so far ahead right now, even in the traditionally blue states. He's winning in a lot of those states right now. Now, of course, the polls are going to tighten between now and the election. There's no denying that. But anyway, put me down for 4% and over, let's just say 3. I'll go with 310 on the electoral college.
310. All right. Where can people find you, JR, on social?
And yes, thanks. You can definitely find me at YouTube, simply on the screen right there, at JRDukes.
All right. Great.
Appreciate you all having me today. It's been fun. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Thank you all.
Has been fun.
Thank you, buddy.
Matthew?
Electoral College, give or take 310, 315, somewhere around there. Popular vote, I don't know, 3 to 4%, give or take. I think there are variables that potentially could impact that. Obviously, if Trump puts emphasis on Trump, I think that's going to negatively impact that. But if he's going in the direction that he's going currently, I think he'll be fine. And if you want to look me up, it's the Patriot Podcast on Spotify, the Patriot Podcast on Instagram, and Inculpable Tweets on X.
Awesome. Great. Well, hey, everybody, if you enjoyed this, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm David with Patriot Mindset. And if you're on YouTube and you've made it this far, YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video next. I'll be back with more soon. God bless.